welcome to Notice Tonight, the show that decodes the region. I am Wasbir Hussain. Floods do not care or bother about governments, viewers. They come every monsoon and ravage Assam and the rest of the northeast, leaving dozens dead and uprooting thousands from their homes. What is disgusting is that our governments too do not bother about floods anymore, not to the level they should perhaps. We have Prafulla Mahanta as our chief minister. We have had him. During this Jatyotapati Neta's time, nothing significant was done to control or bring about a permanent solution to floods. Then we had Congress veteran Tarun Gogoi for chief minister. He said floods occur in America as well. Yes, it does. But we are bothered about floods in Assam. Now we have BJP's Sarbananda Sonowal as the chief minister. He has been 3 years into his term and is now talking about a scientific approach to tackle floods and erosion in Assam with the setting up of the Northeast Water Management Authority to work towards a permanent solution to the problem. So far this time around, nearly 5 million people have been hit in 30 of Assam's 33 districts. Nearly 20 people have lost their lives. Forget a long-term solution. We do not even have a model that is encouraging. What about short-term measures? Why can't the Assam government build permanent flood shelter homes in all vulnerable areas across the state, like the Orissa cyclone shelter homes? Sadly, flood is no longer an election issue, and most of our Jatyotapati organizations have slowed down their demand to recognize floods and erosion as a national problem. So the message seems to be adapt to nature because nothing can be done about it. To discuss the subject, I am joined by a well-known hydrologist and professor at IIT Roorkee, Professor Nayan Sharma. I also have Dr. Bhagavat Pran Duara, professor in the Department of Geological Sciences at Guwahati University. Writer and commentator Mr. Mayur Bora joins me. Dr. Aradhana Kotoki, a former professor who is now vocal on issues like floods and erosion, is with me from Dibrugarh. And I have representatives from two major political parties, Mr. Dwijen Sharma of the Congress and Assam BJP spokesman, Mr. Swapnanil Barua. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special edition of Northeast Tonight. Professor Nayan Sharma, the Northeast has been devastated. Professor Nayan Sharma, the Northeast has been devastated once again by floods and landslides. Is the flood problem beyond the reach of science and technology? Now we hear that floods have been going on unabated every monsoon since 1951. My question to you is simple, Professor Nayan Sharma. Is floods beyond the reach of science and technology? This is what people would like to know. Professor Nayan Sharma.
Well, definitely it is not beyond. We can say that we may be able to minimize the devastations, and I would like to highlight 4 points. The first one is the of late, due to climate change, there have been a lot of flash floods and cloudburst events occurring all over the world, and including Northeast. And in this regard, what is lacking is we couldn't do much about the vegetative cover or catchment area treatment. And that why it is required, because if more vegetation is there, obviously the speed at which water is flowing after rainfall will slow down. When it slows down, the build-up of flood will be less. So hardly anything has been done. Like during my visits to China recently, I could see Chinese have gone a lot of work in this regard.
Okay.
The second point I like to, there are 4 points I will like to cover, or I can do it a bit later as you want.
All right. Yes, I'll come to you, Professor Nayan Sharma. The same question goes to you, Professor Bhagavat Pran Duara. Now the question is, 1951, today the Union Minister Jal Shakti minister had come, Mr. Sekhawat. He was touring the Upper Assam, and then while addressing the media at the end of the day, just a couple of hours ago, he said that floods have been occurring. That in fact, the chief minister was with him. It was the chief minister who said, we have been experiencing floods since 1951. It has been now almost 6 decades. Now my question is, why is it that we have been unable to fix it? Is it beyond the reach of science and technology? The same question that I asked Professor Sharma.
Okay, Wasbir, actually, it's not that from 1951 we experiencing flood. It's much before that.
Right.
We have a lot of historical records of flood. And of course, 1897 earthquake, that major earthquake, that changed the Brahmaputra course in the downstream, and then we see some frequent floods. And after 1950 earthquake in the upper Assam, we see there is a lot of changes. This is a different issue. But what I see is, from that 1956, government decided to go ahead with this embankment policy.
Yeah.
And that was actually, we borrow it from Italy. We see these small rivers, they protect it well with embankments, and government deciding that that same thing will be done over here. And it was decided that it will be a very purely temporary measure of flood protection, and also it is focused to protect some of the areas like Dibrugarh town and some of that other townships and important areas. Then over the years, what we see, the same trend continues. We never explored.
So we never explored, we never could build a different model to deal with floods. Is that what you are trying to say?
Yes. So that's what we need.
Okay, so a different model is what we need. We'll talk on that. Dr. Aradhana Kakti, Dr. Aradhana Kotoki, you are in Dibrugarh, and every year Dibrugarh is faced with the brunt of the floods. There is this danger. There is, whenever monsoon comes, the people in the town have to live in sheer panic, What is the situation this time? What are your thoughts at this stage when 50 lakh of Assam's population have been affected? Almost the entire state. Today it is clear that 31 of Assam's 33 districts have been hit. What is going on?
You see, this is a recurrence. I mean, every year it's a replay of the last year. And every monsoon, we always, stay in dread that, if there is an earthquake, what happens? I mean, apart from anything else. So what happens is that there is no advanced planning, and you're talking about using of technology. What we see is that there is only, stress given on, structural measures to combat the floods. You go on having embankments only without giving the same importance to other measures, structural measures. So that creates its own problems. The whole thing is that there seems to be a lack of will. Of the concerned departments, and of course political will also.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead and try for some innovations to try and utilize to the maximum all that science and technology has for us.
Okay,
we have not
I'll
seen that.
come to you.
All we have seen is that, yes.
Dr. Aradhana, I'll come back to you now. Mr. Dujan Sharma, your party, the Congress, had been in power for 15 years in Assam. At that time, you had the UPA government at the center. Now my question is, your chief minister at that time, Mr. Tarun Gogoi, otherwise a very veteran political leader, he said, oh yes, what is the big deal? Floods occur in America. You should learn to live with it. You should learn to live with banana trunks. You have to learn to make rafts. Is this how a government should have treated the flood situation in Assam? Yes, I will talk about the BJP. I have the BJP representative. They also have to answer a lot because they are already in 3 years. But first of all, you answer this question. What a casual approach. Floods occur in America as well. We know that. Washington DC was flooded only recently.
Yes.
But tell me, Why
No,
this
that
casual
is-
approach?
that is
Why
what,
this casual approach by your government
No,
and
no.
the political class in general?
No, I remember that Tarun Gogoi said that very casually, and he was not serious about that. That flood occurs in America also. Only he said casually that, but he tried his best to do something for controlling this flood in Assam. We are concerned about the floods in Assam, and this time I have seen. It is very sad what I have seen in TV that almost whole of Assam is flooded and people are suffering. So what Tarun Gogoi said or what somebody said, that is not important.
I agree.
Important thing is we should go above politics because our people are suffering. Our people.
No, it is good to talk about moral science issues, like we should go above politics.
What
but,
I think,
but basically,
it
Mr.
is-
Dujan
it is-
Sharma,
I am giving my opinion
Yes.
that we should go above politics and we should think-
everybody will expect that, Mr.
Yes,
Dujan Sharma. But my second question to you is, why is flood not even an election issue nowadays?
Yes, yes, that is the point. That is a very important-
I'll give you time to respond. My question is, you see, viewers, none of the political parties took floods and erosion as a serious election issue. Now, what about the Jatiyatavadi organizations in the state? By the way, we have plenty of them. They have been earlier saying that, floods should be declared as a national problem, but in the last couple of years, we have stopped hearing that. Dujan Sharma, my
Yes.
question to you, why is flood not
Yes,
even an
yes,
election issue?
that is a very important question you have asked to me, and I have seen also that flood, erosion, that important issues have not been taken in the last election, almost by all the political parties. What I have seen. Now, question is that our Jatiyatavadi organization.
Before coming to Jatiyatavadi, you first talk about your party,
My
because
party-
more than the
my
ruling party, you were the
my
opposition party.
party-
You were,
You see, my party raised this issue in different occasions. We raised it in Parliament also that it should be made a national issue and Government of India should come forward to solve this problem and give relief to the people of Assam. We raised it several times. I also personally raised when I was in Parliament.
Yeah.
And I have seen that government has not taken this seriously in previous time also.
I'll come back.
And this last 5 years also,
I'll come back.
5 years also, if you look to this present government of
Yeah.
Narendra Modi, they are also not serious about this
okay,
problem.
we'll talk about that. Now, I'll come to.
My point is that we should go above all this politics and we should think
Now-
how we can
Now,
how
okay,
we can
all right.
come
Now,
to a
I'll
solution.
I'll come to Mr. Swapnanil Barua in a minute, but before that, Mayur Bora. I mean, is it the lack of will on the part of the political class? Because it is not in fashion, it's not, in fashion to talk about floods,
True, actually, in
these are
today's
down market
world-
issues.
Yeah, these are totally down market
Down market issues. You have to talk about big things.
Wasbir, see, in the last 10 or 15 years, not only in India, in the whole world, if you see, be it in Turkey and US and other places also, the politics of primordiality, which we keep on uttering many times on your show. Because of that, people talk about caste, people talk about religion, people talk about how to polarize people and get votes. And they don't talk about the governance issues and flood and erosion, which has been ravaging the lives of the Assamese people for the last more than 100 years. And I think before blaming the government, I will blame the government, but before that, it reflects very poorly on the capability of the Assamese people, including everyone, civil society and other organizations.
Exactly.
Because we have not been able to come to the level of tackling flood in a way. Every year, it has become, people have become a prisoner of platitudes. And they will be dishing out the same thing. They will be telling the same thing, I am pain, I am distressed and I am disturbed.
But my question to you, Mayur, is it that if the Guwahati city is flooded today, the news is that the Brahmaputra is threatening parts of the Guwahati city. Pan Bazar, Machkhua, Fancy Bazar, these are areas under absolute threat with the authorities putting up sandbags. Because, and some of the eyewitnesses, we have taken in our prime time bulletin an hour ago only, less than an hour ago, that the residents who are eyewitnesses, who are inhabitants of that place, they're saying that they have never seen this kind of a situation, this kind of water, sandbagging. No.
Yeah.
Are we waiting for floods to enter Guwahati city for our civil society to react?
No, see, civil society is also has been very silent because of the some of the other organizations like All Assam Students Union. They have been raising it, but the kind of other issues that kept them busy, like NRC and many other important issues that has been plaguing the state. I think because of that, adequate amount of attention maybe they have not been able to give.
But it's a life and death
It's a life and death thing.
situation
See, lakhs
for-
of people have been
situation.
devastated. Lakhs
Yes.
of people, and it really pains when you see on the television screen for the last few days how people have been like 2 squares of meals they have not
Exactly.
been able to say.
I am coming back to you, Dr. Aradhana Kakati, but Mr. Swapnil Barua, only today, your government has been in power for 3 years in Assam now. More than half the tenure is over. Now, next year we'll be on an election mode. My question to you is very direct. Today, we have heard encouraging statements from the Chief Minister, Mr. Sarbananda Sonowal. He said that he has put enough pressure. Now, the Prime Minister has agreed to look at Assam floods as a national disaster. That's one point which the people of Assam have been talking about. Now, the second point is that here the Prime Minister has rushed the Union Minister Shekhawat to take a look. Thirdly, the Chief Minister said that the Niti Aayog is setting up a high-level committee to look at scientific approach to deal with the issue. And fourthly and lastly, that the government of India is thinking of setting up something called the Northeast Water Management Authority. My question to you, why was it not on a very, very high priority from the day your government assumed office in Assam? That is what is the impression. This is not my view, this is the impression which people are talking about today when the state is devastated.
Wasbir, I can only say you have said what I had to say. In fact, in the last 3 years, if you've seen that there has been a total change into the approach of looking at floods, we are thinking in terms of a permanent solution, both at the state and the center. You have heard about the dredging which was thought about, and the feasibility is still being examined on that count. But these were long-term measures. In the short term, we have been trying to address the concerns of the administration, and particularly to see that no suffering occurs. And if you look, and I can tell you as being a part of the party and also a part of the government which has dealt with floods for so many years, that the government of Assam, so far as relief and rehabilitation is concerned, is one of the best governments in the country. And so, if you look out, that there would be minor complaints on the day one of
No, I'm not talking about, let's not talk about the complaints. In this kind of a, this scale of a devastation, there will be some amount of complaints, we accept that. But the issue is, my question to you was totally different. My question is, why did it take 3 years to talk about a scientific approach to deal with this issue?
It is not, it is the fructification of the discussion that has happened in the last 3 years.
Okay.
You know, these things have been issued, debated, and the committee by Niti Aayog has already
this is the
submitted
fructification that we have to deal with this in a scientific approach after 3 years. You can well imagine how long, maybe 3 decades or 3 centuries, I don't know. I think I never wanted to hear this kind of words, especially from a dear elder friend like Swapnil. I don't know why he has been trying to defend the indefensible. 3 years for fructification to think and to come to a solution that is scientific approach will be required. Only thing we have been receiving, flood of statements, flood of pieces, not we have seen any practical measures to tackle it. These are all flood of statements from the politicians.
It's a state of stepping up of
flood
technology
of statements
and giving up the age-long embankment policy.
Actually,
Professor.
To be frank, for the last so many decades, the same manual is
being followed.
No new things have been explored, and you know that whatever we look into in the downstream,
Now let me ask you a specific question. I'm coming to you in a minute, Dr. Aradhana in Dibrugarh. Now today, you know, the Chief Minister said 5,000 kilometers of embankments. Assam government has given a proposal to the center to get these embankments strengthened and convert these embankments into road-cum embankments. Now, you have said that these embankments may or may not be a great idea. What do you think?
You see, already we have 4,500 plus kilometer plus embankments, and that strengthening will be done on that. And they form the barriers. Actually, embankments, they'll give you us, you know, relief to a certain extent. But when you see that so much of the networks of that comes in, and then when there is a breaching, and then water has no way to go, cannot go freely, and it is restricted channels are being created, and that is one of the major cause of this destruction.
I will come to Dr. Nayan Sharma on this, but Dr. Aradhana in Dibrugarh, Dr. Aradhana, what is the people's voice? What do you think, Dr. Aradhana Kotuki, is the people of Assam at this stage? What must be going on in their mind? Because only they know what kind of a misery, the flood affected people can only know what kind of a misery they are going through. We as journalists, we are highlighting, we are bringing up the images in the public domain, but they are the people who are facing the brunt of this natural disaster. As an activist, Dr. Aradhana, what do you have to say?
Well, what they are going through is obvious. I mean, the suffering, I wonder if they have any time to even think. Just they're so busy trying to protect themselves and their little ones and their elders. So, but then there is a great, I feel that there is a great feeling of, distrust and lack of shaking of faith that year after year after year they have to go through this. And there is, no audit taken about what has been done. Like, you see that bunds go crashing down, and and people have time. People who are concerned, who have the power to do something, they go there only when the breach has been made. There is no audit taken earlier. So all those things have been noticed. But on the other hand,
See,
I also feel that there is a sense of apathy. What we need now is anger. Anger.
Carry on.
And this anger is something we need, because we find that those who can do something, they have not really been able to do anything, maybe because of lack of will, because I don't think that it is only a matter of not having funds. I think there has to be a different approach. The approach so far
has to
been
be a
bits and
solid
pieces
approach.
It
has to,
we're
there
looking
has
for
to be
only short-term
will. Yes,
measures.
Dr. Aradhana, I get the sense there has to be, people are really, really angry, they are anguished, they are upset, they are absolutely clueless on what fate has in store for them, how are the days. And now we had some very interesting visuals today which we had shown on our channel of a couple, of a family cooking on the rooftop, on the top of their roof. That is the stage, abandoned, absolutely, their whole house have been absolutely submerged, and the entire village has been submerged, and they were cooking, they have just climbed somehow to the rooftop of their home, and they were cooking on top, two women, and this is a very poignant and absolutely shocking. We will try and show you those visuals if we can. On your screen, can we have really blow it up? Can we have for a minute full please? This is the, I'd like to ask my panelists as well as my viewers to take a look at this. This is the condition. This is the rooftop. This is the family cooking on top of their roof. They're surrounded by water, absolute. The whole place is submerged. See the agony on the face of this woman. See the helplessness on their face. This is absolutely shocking. This tells the story of the devastation caused by the floods in Assam. Yes, the central government has released a distress relief amount of rupees 251 crore today. But it's not a question of immediate distress now. Swapnil Barua, please take a look at this. This is shocking. Your government, or for that matter, any government, has a lot of work to do. Swapnil Barua, we'll come back, everybody on the screen. Yes, Swapnil Barua.
Well, I think this kind of a situation should not have happened, definitely. But my reading of the situation is that most of the people, till the extent possible, they don't evacuate. Had you had a scene like in Orissa, where people were evacuated without objection, but in Assam, my practical experience is that Jijan Sharma would possibly know because of his long years in public life that people really don't want to leave their homes and huts till it is the last point. Even in spite of, and you can't really drag down people from their houses and take them into the relief camps. So there is also that aspect.
Now, Mayur Bora, this brings to the question. Orissa has been hit by cyclone after cyclone. Now, the government has come up with this permanent
Yeah, that's
cyclone
what
shelter homes.
Yeah.
Now, can't we not adopt this model? 1951, that's the government's point of view. Yes, I agree with Professor Bhagavat Pran Duara that we cannot talk about floods. We cannot have a set 1951 as the starting point of floods in Assam. I agree with him, but this is what the Chief Minister said today, that we have been experiencing heavy floods every year since 1951. My question is it
Wasbir, I think,
1951 to now? It's not a question of blaming the Congress or the AGP or the BJP. It's not a question of that. I'm saying, is it not enough time for us to think out of the box and possibly come up with permanent flood shelter homes where these people can go?
Wasbir, see, I think you will remember my opening statement that it reflects very poorly on the ability of the Assamese people, including the government and civil societies. I think now your point will buttress that particular fact. See, Orissa being hit by cyclone is with lesser frequency than floods hitting Assam every year. Okay, so flood shelter homes, is it a rocket science? You have to construct permanent flood shelter homes. But the only problem is that I am not going to name the department. There is a particular department and there are a particular group of officers, not all, who become very happy when the flood situation worsens in the state.
I can't
because they want to make money. They want to make money.
And
this is the approach.
Swapnil Barua, departments like Brahmaputra Board, what is this department doing? And have you heard a service in a single statement? Is this department even existing today? Can anybody enlighten me? Swapnil Barua.
In fact, you know, the report of the Niti Aayog has been entrusted to the Brahmaputra board, and I think they are working on the alternatives. We have a permanent chairman now sitting in Guwahati, and they are really getting on to the job.
Permanent chairman of what?
Of the Brahmaputra board in Guwahati. Rajiv Jadhav is an experienced officer from the Assam cadre. He has just retired as the secretary from the government of India and has been absorbed here. And as far as my information goes, that based on the report of the Niti Aayog, the new technology that has been thought of, or the new ideas that but your point of permanent flood shelters, another problem is, you know, the biggest problem about is in any Assamese village, if you want to talk about a flood shelter, you will require at least 10 bighas of land. Now 10 bighas of sarkari land.
Why do you need 10 bighas of land?
Yes.
10 bighas of land. You are not making that kind of a big 10 big shelter home. No.
Even for 5 bighas of land, if the government cannot find 5 bighas of land,
there are
why
not
do you need
even
5 bighas of land?
it should be within the radius of 5 kilometers.
Can't we make a multi-story building to house 5,000 people? I mean, this is what we are talking about.
And it should be within the radius of 5 kilometers.
Yes.
Not necessarily
not
the same
talking
place.
about only people,
Not
we have to
necessarily
talk about cattle also.
No. Let us first think about
Now,
the
where
people.
do you keep the cattle?
First think about
Where
the
do you
people.
keep the things?
We'll have to
People
take
will
a
not
break.
leave.
We'll have to take a break. We have to first think about the man, then the animals, and then everything else.
Yes.
So now the Swapnil Barua defending the government. It's not a question of BJP or Congress, as I've said, viewers. This is a question of successive governments in Assam actually failing to come up with any kind of an imaginative idea. You don't require 10 bighas of land to construct a shelter home. We can have a multi-story building just to accommodate. We don't need rooms. We need just halls. Isn't it, Professor Duara? We'll go for a break after your very brief comment.
In fact, Bas, remember that you have
actually,
10,000 villagers in one village.
We may have many community halls that can be used for other purposes. And we have the school now, we see the shelters, so wherever we are giving mostly the schools. So we can improve the school buildings. We can have sanitary system over there.
We can have for
drinking
dual
water,
use.
For dual use. That can be done.
Okay, we are coming up with some interesting
whatever
suggestions there. Professor Duara, I'll come back to you on this note. We go for a short break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Now, welcome back. Professor Nayan Sharma, is it because of deforestation? Is it climate change? Is it that the whole thing, that floods, devastating floods that we have been witnessing year after year, is actually man-made? What do you think? Professor Nayan Sharma.
Well, definitely, from my studies, I could see that quite a good deal is due to man-made, anthropogenic. Like the forest cover is being lost very seriously, and that loss in forest cover is definitely coming in the way, the velocity at which water is coming after a rain is very fast. And worst thing is it brings a lot of sediment, a lot of silt from the watershed areas. So that has led to rise of bed of
Yeah.
river like Brahmaputra, then all the major tributaries. So rise in the bed level has created a lot of erosion of the river banks. So that is a very serious aspect of this problem, and hardly any
Okay.
attention has been paid till
Now-
now. And
now-
I think
yeah.
we should learn from the Chinese on this.
When you talk about the Chinese, Professor Sharma, my question is, from Arunachal to Assam, Sikkim, Meghalaya, every state has been devastated by floods and landslides. We presume these are rain-triggered monsoon effect, but do you also see a possible rain seeding project in China going wrong? Do you think it's a deliberate water raid by the Chinese on India? I am playing the devil's advocate. What do you think?
See, the watershed of Assam, Sikkim, all these areas, we have to understand the soil is very friable, very soft kind of soil. They are all resting on rocky strata. So these soils are no doubt partially been subjected to tectonic effects because we know that Northeast is tectonically most vulnerable.
Yeah.
That is one aspect. But we cannot overlook the lot of man-made disasters. For instance, a lot of roads have been built and hardly any precautions are taken in preventing the landslides. So, and then we need to identify the landslide vulnerable zones. And presently there are a lot of technology available to prevent any landslides. Like in Uttarakhand, for instance,
Yeah.
after the disaster in 2013, they have started doing some work.
Okay.
But hardly
Yeah.
anything has been done in Northeast, and this is a major cause for concern. And I think government has to give a lot of attention in this. Okay, if you allow me, I would like to cover three more other quick points. We can elaborate very quickly. The second point, as I feel, like Ranganadi Dam it's creating, Ranganadi River is creating a lot of havoc right now, and other rivers also. Just for example, Ranganadi Dam is a hydel dam, and there is a technique called fuse plug, which fuse plug technique is used all over many places in the world, and this technique can increase the storage capacity, and it can store a lot of flood waters, and obviously that can store that flood volume,
Right.
and the flood devastation can be reduced.
Right.
It's just for example.
Before
Yeah.
I'll ask you one quick question before I come to my panelist in the studio and go to Dr. Aradhana Nibruga. Now, big question, can the Brahmaputra be tamed? Can the Brahmaputra be controlled? Do you think dredging is a solution? Can the Brahmaputra be dredged? Professor Nayan Sharma.
Well, before I respond to your very important question, let me in one line tell you, right now I have been commissioned by Government of India to handle Ganga River. For one of the main aspect is navigation, and it's a World Bank funded work.
Right.
See, why told about Ganga? Ganga problem is a bit less severe compared to Brahmaputra. Now, in case of Brahmaputra, dredging is definitely cannot be a full solution. It can be a very small supplementary or complementary,
dredging-
whatever you would like to say. So the Brahmaputra taming again is a very complete taming is not easy. So what we need to do, we must first try to channelize the river, identify the vulnerable zones, which I did for NDMA in 2012, and then obviously we can try to use these new techniques, not those spur and groins. These are very expensive and counterproductive.
Now let me hold on, Professor Sharma. I'll begin with Professor Duara. Professor Nayan Sharma is saying that dredging is not a great solution. He has said that it cannot be the only solution. It can have a small impact. Now, when we talk about new solutions, when we talk about a different model, Dr. Ardana has been saying that we have to try out a different model. Can you have Dr. Ardana on the screen as well? Now, Dr. Ardana is saying that we can have a different model. Now, what could some of these different approaches be? What could some of these different approaches be?
One thing what I differ with Professor Sharma is that dredging is not a solution for Brahmaputra. And it is also a totally different river as compared to Ganga. Already he said that. And we have a lot of channels. There are a lot of sub-channels in the Brahmaputra. Now, one thing, so many tributaries Brahmaputra have, and they are having, like Subansiri, like Luhi, they are, the very big, and they itself has a devastating, capability. So, what we need now to focus on those tributaries, not to focus the main trunk channel of the Brahmaputra. What we are doing
control the tributaries so that the inflow of water into the Brahmaputra is reduced. Is that what you are saying?
The first thing, now if I try to control the Brahmaputra, the upstream will be, in a day you cannot do a whole thing. You have to take it part by part. So we have to take the catchment treatment, whatever he is saying about, Professor Sharma said about this, degradation of the catchment area.
Yeah.
So we have to do that kind of thing. And one very important aspect what we need, that we must have dams.
We must have dams.
We must have dams. These are not dams what we are now having. That's Subansiri, Ranganadi, whatever type of dams we are having. So those will not give you a solution. We must need.
What kind of dams are you talking about? You are talking about run of the river dams?
No. They are the storage type of reservoirs, like Bhakra.
So you are talking about dams on the lines of the Bhakra Nangal project and all.
So that kind of thing will be there. That will retain the flat, water.
Okay. I'll talk about that.
We can release it.
I'll take a response to that from everybody in the panel. But Dr. Aradhana, for example, you are based in Dibrugarh. Now, have you really thought about a solution? Do you have a suggestion to the government as to what is to be done? Have you talked to the local people? What is the mood there? What kind of a suggestion do you think? What kind of a solution?
I'd like to be a fool and tread where angels fear to tread, and I'll tell you. Where you have the experts, and of course their views will be of course important. We've been thinking, before the water reaches the Brahmaputra from the watershed, can something be done at the watershed base? Like, if you have check dams and all that and divert through vegetations, what we have in mind is that, or we've been thinking, of course we are nowhere near, we are not experts, we are laymen, but still, two things. One is that people are talking about rainwater harvesting. And the other is that if at the watershed, through check dams and all, if the water could be diverted and slowed down to reach the river at a distance.
Right.
So that
now one more thing I'd like to ask you, Dr. Aradhana. Please hold your thoughts. I would like to ask you, there are generations and generations after generations of people who have been living on embankments. The people who have lost their homes and herds, the villages have been completely eroded. People come to them only when there is election time because they have to vote. Otherwise, nobody is giving them an alternative location. Their home has become the embankments, the mathauris as we call it, the embankments.
Yes.
So, you are aware of that? You have been working with these people.
See, that is what I've been talking about, anger. What happens is that after the floods, everyone forgets. All that they do, of course, you have some people coming for help, and you have organizations going around distributing. But for a solution to it, the anger has to remain, and things have to start before the onset of floods. You see, it's not that, when the floods come, then we ask, we shout, we demand. Something should be started much before. What I call is advanced planning. And then, I'd like to take a few minutes. You see, we have the institutions like SDRF and all that. Now, how are they equipped? As far as we understand, are they using, we don't think that they're using the latest technology like, that elevation module that they have, what is some DEM that is used, where the data that they collect from CWC can be fed, and instantly they can pinpoint where there will be floods, and then they can alert, and in that way they can prevent great loss. So they can
Okay,
protect
Aradhana,
people,
hold on.
give
Mayur
time
Bora,
to the
she is
administration
making
to
some
do
very
something.
interesting points.
That is not there.
What about an early, we don't even have a proper early warning mechanism even after 60 years, 75 years of independence, 70 years plus of independence. We don't have an early warning system, and if the Chief Minister is saying that 1951 floods started, the successive
And
governments have never thought about having a proper scientific early warning. Now we have the tsunami early warning systems all over the world. So why can't we have as Dr. Aradhana was talking about that technology, that model, whatever. So now why can't we have an early warning system?
See, there is no willingness. Because of lack of willingness, because of some sort of, I think, inherent reluctance on the part of the government that these are the not vote-cancelling issues. That's why they do not give a lot of importance as they should have given in normal times.
And that is the reason why
that's the reason in the election time also they raised.
No, is that the reason why the political parties do not want to hold elections during floods?
Yeah.
Because they will lose.
Yeah. There, of course, they have got a point. But see, what Professor Duara has also been telling, I do not have the competency to talk about the scientific or technological suitability of any of the things that he or Mr. Sharma has been suggesting. But only one thing I'd like to highlight. Don't you feel there is a complete lack of coordination between the experts which are there in the engineering college and university and colleges and the people in the water resources department? Do you see, apart from some sporadic seminar here and there, do you see the kind of coordination that should have been there from the expert as well as the people who are supposed to do it? Till the time you cannot ensure that, I think many of the things which we may discuss in the talk show we'll see in reality on the ground. That is the sad reality of today.
That's actually what I tried to say, that
I think
that
I'm
the
not wrong.
same manual is being followed, but in the same group of people, they're not widening it up. They're not opening it for discussing. So it is
For others.
Okay.
For others.
This shows the lack of government interest in the whole issue.
I'll come to our political panelist in a while, but Professor Nayan Sharma, floods, I've been talking about it a little while ago as well, but floods are not even an election issue these days, and the mass-based organizations have stopped demanding floods as a national problem. Yes, they are occasionally saying it, but not in a very systematic and organized manner. There's been no organized demand. There's been no hesitation. And most important, shocking is that floods is not an election issue. Professor Nayan Sharma.
Well, I think right now my straight response is, see, whether you call it a national issue or a state issue is not the crux of the problem. The issue is what are the technology, how to go about it. The conventional methods of embankments and the porcupine use or only using bank pitching is definitely not a solution. So we need to go for a comprehensive solution. Whether you call it national or not is secondary. But by the way, I know that many organizations like World Bank, they come forward if there is a very strong project report made. So right now there is no studies, no scientific analysis. So project report has to be done with state-of-the-art technology, and then only we can think of that.
Okay. Now, Dujan Sharma,
Yes.
there is no proper study being made. We are talking about new models to be implemented. We are talking about the need to come up with an out-of-the-box solution, new models. These embankments may or may not have actually served the purpose. Now, why is it that the political class is lost interest in floods? I mean, do you expect people to actually, live with floods and forget about it? Oh, what can we do? It's a natural disaster.
No.
Is that the approach of the political parties? Not necessarily only your party.
No. It is
in
modern thinking. One should not think that we should live with floods. There is a solution for every problem in this world, and scientists are finding out solutions for
But
bigger,
your tall
bigger
leader,
problems.
your tall leader suggested that we should live with floods.
No, yeah, I should not repeat again, because he said in some occasion why he said, I don't know. He also gave maximum relief when there is flood. Even baby food was given. Now people are crying for relief today. If you say of Congress, I will say that Tarun Gogoi could give baby food.
Oh, come on, no, don't politicize the issue today.
No,
People
that
are
is
suffering.
that is the thing. Mayur Bora has said one thing, that willingness. He mentioned about the willingness of political parties or the government. If you see that there is Nitin Gadkari 3 years back said that the Brahmaputra dredging will start and there will be 2 big roads in both the sides. Anything started?
What happened to it?
What
I
happened to
think
it?
that deserves that deserves an explanation.
No. Listen
Yes.
to me. I am not a scientist. I am a political worker. I am saying that there is solution. Certainly there is solution, and scientists and engineers, they will find out. It is not my job, but my job that it should get proper attention from the government of India.
Proper attention from the government of India.
It should get
for the
proper
yes,
reference.
for
What the chief minister has said, I do not agree. That all the time we will live with floods. I do not agree
No,
with that.
the present chief minister has not said that, of course. This one
He
you are
has talked
talking
about
about.
scientific approach.
You talked about a
And you
scientific
see,
approach.
you have mentioned when another thing, that 251 crores have been released today.
Yes.
And government of Assam should get 559 crores.
No, this is the first installment. Let's wait and watch.
That is pending.
more?
That is outstanding. That is
see.
outstanding.
Yes, Professor Dora, you were saying
One,
something.
one thing, fund is not the issue.
Fund is not the issue.
If we give 1,000 crores, 2,000 crores, then also there may not be any result. So, how we are utilizing the fund,
Yes.
where we are utilizing the fund, we need lot of discussions. Now we see that,
That is
all the
important
time,
point.
even we talk about the embankments and all, the structural measures we talk about. We are not, government of Assam or government of India is not talking about this, the non-structural part of the flood control measures. So they are a very important part. So that
Right.
part is never coming into the picture.
Let me come to Swapnil Barua. Swapnil Barua, it was good to hear the Chief Minister today talking about Northeast Water Management Authority, Niti Aayog coming up with a high-level committee, Prime Minister agreeing to recognize it as a national disaster, and so on. These are good things. But what steps can you do to actually implement, as Mayur Barua was saying? How soon can you come up with an alternative model? Now, we already have the Brahmaputra board, which was absolutely defunct for many years. What is the, now you have said that there is a new person at the helm of affairs.
It does not help.
But has it done? What has it done all these years? People have retired working, they had their first job in the Brahmaputra board and they retired from the Brahmaputra board. Now, what have we seen the Brahmaputra board? What is the end result? Now, if the Brahmaputra board is there, what is the point in having another agency? Now, we have the Water Resources Department of the state, we have the Water Resources Department of Ministry of the Center. I mean, isn't it, at the end of the day, be honest, at the end of the day, your party comes next, but first of all, you are a citizen of Assam and India.
Well, one thing about, let me tell you about the party, is that the party's thinking is that the conventional thinking which was there, the embankment route or the porcupine route or the sandbanking which is there, has not delivered the required result commensurate with the amount of money that has been spent over the years. So the government has realized now that something different has to be done and has initiated steps to do that thing differently.
Okay.
Now, so far as the action on the field is concerned, to the best of my knowledge, I cannot vouch for it. The agreement has been that the Brahmaputra board will be taking care of the Brahmaputra Valley, and state department, Water Resources Department, will be taking care of the Barak Valley treatment of floods. And so far as alternate technology is concerned, the government is open to ideas that they will go into international technology as is available.
It is heartening to
but
hear.
But the difficulty thing is now
yeah.
that the transition of an old system which has been here for the last 70 years.
It cannot happen overnight, that's what you're saying.
You overnight cannot change
overnight
it.
you cannot change, but it is heartening to hear if what Swapnil Barua, the BJP spokesman of Assam, is saying is the right perspective, then it is heartening to hear, find that the Assam government is thinking of even approaching technology from abroad. We'll have to wait and watch. But Professor Nayan Sharma, what is the road ahead as a scientist and technocrat? What do you think? Professor Nayan Sharma.
Yeah, I think I gave a thought to this. There, one is short term and other is long term. So in short term, my immediate response is using satellite-based products. We can very quickly identify the zones which give lot of sediment to the river, to Brahmaputra and its all tributaries. And then very quickly, like the Chinese are going for, we can go for grass barrier. Not only Chinese, I think in other European countries have gone ahead. So then we can have a very quick growing vegetative cover. So that will definitely, that can be done in a less than a year's time, first. The second point is we can very quickly, I would say, these existing dams, we can provide a lot of storage and improve the channel carrying capacity.
My final question to you, I am running short of time, Dr. Nayan Sharma. Can the monsoon be controlled, or do you think this is a ridiculous question to ask?
See, monsoon is, I think, as a scientist myself working also on
just a
climate
point.
and other issues, it's not in, it's a bit, it's not possible. Rather, we can try to think of adaptation measure. Adaptation means how we can try to ameliorate the suffering. So in this, I don't have enough time to explain, but definitely we can do a lot. And as I told you, for Brahmaputra, I see a very serious problem in bed rise of the Brahmaputra river. A study I did for NTMA, we found the bed is going up very high due to silting, and this has to be arrested. Otherwise, the whole Assam will be flood devastated in another, probably in this decade or maybe one and a half decades.
Professor,
I have got a point. I think we may not be able to control the monsoon, but we must try to control the behavior of the politicians so that they get primarily influenced by the welfare of the people. That should be the main narrative which influences their behavior.
Okay, that is your concluding remark. Control the politicians, but come on, don't blame the politicians.
We'll try to. No, I am not blaming. I am saying it reflects poorly on the ability of the whole Assamese people. I mean,
we have two politicians
and civil
we have two politicians who are very, very capable.
Including you and me.
We have two politicians who are very capable of defending themselves. I don't need to. They will defend themselves. But concluding remarks, Dr. Aradhana Kakati, what is your concluding remarks? I am running very, very short of time. 20 seconds to you.
Well, if the complete policy paralysis that we've seen in successive governments comes to an end, nothing like it, and it is, we hope that our Honorable CM, with consultation with the Prime Minister, formulates a plan, and we hope that, experts, national and international, local, are taken in, and stakeholders also taken in, and with a resolution to take action, because we don't want, reports to be lying for 20 years like it was lying in, the 1981 report. So action should be taken, that resolution should be there, and if the Honorable CM does this, then he'll be remembered for all times.
Very well said. Very well said, Dr. Aradhana. It is time to act, not to procrastinate. Yes, Dr. Professor Duara, your concluding remarks very quickly.
What I want to say that we always speak about the success of China, and but what we are not talking about, how they achieve that success. So one of the major component is the basin transfer. They transfer the excess water to those deficient area, and we also
have to think on those lines as well.
Otherwise, it's not possible to have
absolutely.
that. Absolutely.
Otherwise, we have to think
storage reservoirs and basin transfer.
Storage reservoirs and basin transfers, like the Chinese, could be the key. We have to put that into a peer review and then go ahead with that. Dujan Sharma, your concluding remarks.
The politicians,
very quickly.
Politicians are very much concerned about the sufferings of people. It is not that they are not concerned. They feel it, but we have to...
They are helpless.
No, they are not helpless. But we have to immediately, what I think that what we have discussed, that we have to have some high-rise shelter homes in different places, so that
shelter homes.
Yes, we should
So
not.
the focus
Actually-
was set on
actually
Sapnil
they
Barua.
have to
Sapnil
depend
Barua,
on
last I'm running
technocrats.
short of time.
Since you're running
Barua.
short of
Politician
time,
cannot do it. It is
So
technocrat.
technocrat, that's the problem.
Running short of time.
let me
Sapnil
tell
Barua.
you, on behalf of the government, you can be rest assured that we are thinking differently and we are also acting. And an indication of the efficiency or whatever change of thought, putting it into action is the effectiveness of the SDRF, which you have seen, has gone into really high tech now. At least the beginnings have been made, and you can be hopeful that things would go at this speed.
Sarbananda Sonowal, of course, is a very dynamic chief
Allow
minister.
me two sentences, yeah.
Sarbananda Sonowal is a dynamic chief minister. We'll have to wait and watch how quickly he can translate his ideas into action. Mayur Bora, 10 seconds to your last words.
I have taken Sapnil Barua's statement in the right spirit, but I also follow the dictum, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So when we see really action on the ground, then only we'll be believing him. Yes. Otherwise, he is a dear friend. He has defended not only the human beings, also cattle also. So nice to see that.
Okay. Keep your sarcasm for the next debate, Mayur Bora. On that note, we end this edition of Notice Tonight. This is a subject that concerns each and every flood-affected people. The misery, the trauma, the hardships which the 50 lakh and more people of Assam today are going through, only they know what they are going through. This is very, very difficult to fathom the level of misery the people, flood-ravaged people are going through. And everyone, of course, is with the flood-affected people. The government, of course, has to play a frontal role in dealing with this crisis. On that note, I end this edition of Notice Tonight. Thank all my panelists for participating in this very, very engaging discussion. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.